This is about MySQL replication. So we have several different releases out. The 5.1 was in 2008, we have 5.5 which was in 2010, and then we had a development milestone release in April. And now we also have early access features available for 5.6. So the first two are generally available, so you can just use them, they are ready to be used for production. And the second two are development releases. So we have published them, we're waiting for feedback, and we want to release them after we have checked that everything is okay with these features. So just a brief introduction of what's MySQL replication. Well, it's an asynchronous replication for maximum performance. So we don't wait for the slave to receive the updates. We ship everything as soon as we can over to the slave from the master. So you can have one server with data, and then you have multiple other servers that all receive information from the server. So how many people here use MySQL replication up until now? How many have never used MySQL at all? How many have never used MySQL replication at all? Cool. So for MySQL replication, we had some time ago there was a requirement for better availability, so that we should make sure that the slave has received updates when changes happen. We also wanted to people also wanted it to be possible to tune replication for maximum performance or for safeness. And the crash slave should always automatically recover. And it should detect immediately. It should be possible to detect immediately if replication is not working. And there was also flexibility enhancement to filter events from particular servers, flow/independently and correctly promote data when master and slave have different data types. So all of these features we have included into 5.5. So this is GA now. So we can use this. So this is kind of the same list, but listed as feature system. Semi-synchronous replication. That is checking that the updates has actually been received on the slave before the application gets to know that it has happened. It's possible to tune fsyms and relay log recovery, so we can check for safeness or for speed. There's heart beating, so even if the master is not sending anything, it's sending heartbeats, so you always know that the connection between the master and the slave is working fine. It's possible to filter the replication stream, so that you don't want some events from some server. So in MySQL replication, you can have multiple servers, you can replicate in a chain or you can do different kind of things. And in this, with this feature, you can say that, well, I don't want to have changes for this particular server. You can also more precisely control how the master and slave treats tables. So if you have a different table definition on the slave, in MySQL replication you can have one definition of the table on the master, and on the slave you have some added columns or something. So with 5.5 you have better control over how this is handled, when is it allowed to have extra columns and when it's not allowed to have extra columns. And you can flush logs independently. Just to mention two of the main features a little bit more. The semi-synchronous replication was developed by Google, and then we have modularized it and put it into MySQL. And it works the way that the application doesn't change. It goes over by replication to another MySQL server, and this MySQL server acknowledges that it's put into the relay log. And at that time, the application gets back from the relay that this is properly replicated. Replication heart beating is that if the master is not doing anything for a while, then it's instead sending heartbeat events. So the slave always know that the master is connected. So that's also very brief summary of the replication features in 5.5. And also if there are questions about this, then we can also do it on the BOF. But if there are any questions now, we can do questions now. Anyone from Gary? Okay. So for the 5.6 development milestone release, so this is for future GA releases. We have put these features into the 5.6, so you can download this and you can try it out. We have crash safe slave, so it's better protection if the slaves crash. So we save information transactionally about how far they've gone from replication. We have a crash safe master, so that if there is any problem with the master, it will recover correctly from the binary log. So these features will make the 5.6 even more reliable than previous MySQL releases. Replication event checksums, so all the data that's been transferred can be checksummed so that there cannot be any kind of bit faults in the disk or from the connection. You can configure it so that the replication is time delayed, so that the slave is always like half an hour behind the master. So people want to have this for protecting against user mistakes. If someone has a delete table, then you have one slave which is half an hour in the past, so you see what the table was before this. And it's remarkable many people will understand this feature. Optimize row-based logging so that you don't need to send everything in row-based replication. You put less data. So it will be quicker and it will take less space on this. Information and log events. They say that what was the original query in row-based replication? We send the data over, we don't send the original query. But with this feature, you can also get the original query, so you can more easily debug what's happening in the replication. Yes?
With the reasonable on row-based things, you also put in like word checksums, so you can find it correctly without somewhere you're finding it.
No. So when we send less information in the row events, we don't check row checksums. So it's a little bit more like statement-based. It becomes a little bit more like a change in information. We don't put the whole row as it is. We put the change. So hopefully the other data will change, or the other data should change. Remote backups of binary logs. It's possible to fetch the binary logs from the master without needing to go to that server. You can use it through the replication stream. And the server UUID is to better detect the replication topology. So you can replicate between many different servers. And to find all of these servers, make sure that they are different, even though that the IP numbers can be different and so on. This makes it much more easy to have a framework that checks all of your machines, checks what is running on them, and then presents this. So the MySQL Enterprise Monitor has will use this feature. Yes?
Which milestone will have parallel replication called?
I'm coming to that. Yes. Yeah, so I'm going to that. Some other questions about these features? Okay. Going a little bit more into detail about these features. To crash the slave, what we have is that we have info tables. So we store information about how far the replication has gone into tables on the slave. So this will protect against slave crashes. It will enable automatic recovery, and it is engine agnostic, so it doesn't matter what kind of storage engine you use in MySQL. In MySQL you can have different engines. The most common one is InnoDB. It's also possible to do selects of the slave information. So then we can code multi-source replication from pure SQL. And that means that you have one server and you want to fetch information from multiple servers into the server. And now you can check how far have I gone fetching from this one, and you can fetch from another one, and so on, and you can sort of make sure that you consolidate all the data into one server. And there's automatic conversion to files and tables on the startup, so it's sort of backwards compatible, and there's no problems if you use the solutions. So before, it was possible that you could have a crash before the position information was saved. After this feature is, then we store the position information inside the transaction. So there's no problems in case there's no crash. Press update master is that if there is a restart, then the binary log is scanned, and if there's any corruption, it's fixed. So this is also something that can happen. This kind of crashing scenarios, it could be that it never happens, but when they introduce this fix, we make sure that it will never. Yeah.
So, as a friend, how do you follow up whenever you do like these transactions that correspond to the terms of microns? What is MVD do you work on that?
I think this tuning is for things that have not been totally implemented. And then it will be the correct position already. So you don't really need to tell it to you.
So these are prepared?
I think they're prepared. So replication error checksums, we create checksums in the session thread, and it can be checked in the 3 different places, and we also create it when we write it to the relay log. So the master in MySQL, it puts the replication log into the binary log. So those are the changes that happen on the server. They're fetched by a thread, which is sending it over to the slave, which is reading it on another thread. It puts it in a kind of buffer called relay log, and then another thread is actually applying to the data. So this is how the replication works. And with these checksums, you can create it. You can create it in the session thread before it goes anywhere, or you can create it also in the IO thread, and you can create it in all different places. So this is to ensure that there can be no pitfalls on time delayed replication is to make sure that the slave lags behind the master. So the slave will be behind the time. This was the optimized logging for row-based replication. So if you have some statements, you have update, delete, and insert. If you want to replicate every row information, in this case, you will have 3-column data, which happened before the update happened. And then after the update happened, then you have the data for these columns as well. If you do delete, you need to tell what column, what was the values before the delete. And if you do the insert, you need to tell what value should be there after the insert. So all of these different columns needs to be in there if you want to send the whole rows for everything, all changes. But after, if you enable the optimized logging, then you can actually log fewer columns, because you only need a few columns to decide what is actually changing. So this is for if you have problems that the logs are getting too big, or a little bit with performance as well, you can turn this on and you can get smaller logs. Information log events, it's we turn it on by putting on this option, and then it will log the original query. So it's easier to debug if you want to see in the replication log the different rows, you want to see where they come from. And this feature was to retrieve the binary log from the master without having to log into the server. You can use it. You use the replication connection. nodes folder. And these are the ideas we use to more easily detect the replication. More questions? Yeah.
So one of the issues has been really, and I'm only using 5.1, so I may be learning about what's on the 5.5, is that I wasn't able to get only certain tables that the database can replicate, or at least to log. I had to log the whole database. Maybe I'm just doing it wrong, but it's fine. But has there been any changes to that?
So there is so far in all of these releases, there are only two ways to do it. Either you tell what should go into the bin log. You can say, I only want this table to go into the bin log. But then you don't have it in the bin log, and maybe you won't have it in the final log. The other one is to say at the slave that I only want to apply these tables. And then you can filter that. So there's two parts in
I've been able to get on the slave, I haven't been able to get the only putting the bin log.
You can limit what goes into the bin log, but you don't have as much control over it. You have a little bit more options on the slave.
Yeah, I was only able to limit it by full database, not with things like that. You can have as the version.
No, that is a limitation. And that's one of the things that we will take. It's not in the labs releases now that we're talking about, but it's something that we are planning to work on after that. So we have another batch coming with stuff. And then after that, we want to do better kind of filter on these information.
So the workaround, which is tedious, is to start developing a global database that's a replication only so that I'm not on the message. So we'll be able to set that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a good feature request. And it is something that we want to do, but we haven't done so. Early access features. So these are things that we want to put into 5.6 as well. One is the multi-threaded slave, and this is to increase the slave performance. So before this patch, then the slave only used one thread to apply, and if you have a very high load, then the slave might lag. It might have problems applying all the things that is coming to it. And with this patch, then changes to each database are applied and committed independently. So each database that comes to the slave gets its own thread and applies it. So we are applying stuff in parallel on the slave. Well, of course, if there is any problems and restarts and stuff, we will handle this automatically. And you can download this from labs, and we published one of these early access features earlier, and now we have improved it and we put it out now in the new version. So this is improved. Your question was, when will this be in a milestone release? I would say that this is pretty finished now. So if we don't really find any major bugs in it, we will push it into May. Yes, we publish it just now. So we'll publish it soon. So it has to do this. So I hope that we have addressed the concerns.
There's a small case where we can take better than
to make it better.
to make it be parallel.
I didn't follow up on that. Did you send me an email about that?
Yeah.
Okay, I will look it up and see what's happening with that comment. Mats, did you know about this one? Replication performance enhancements. We also made two different enhancements for the binary load. So that we first write the things to a local cache and then to the binary load file. So this will reduce the write log time on the files on the machine, so it will improve speed, and also reduce number of memory locations. When the binary log is enabled, I use out increment columns. Then after these patches, it goes quickly on the master. And this is also included with multi-threaded slave snapshot in Labs. So you can find these releases on labs.mysql. Then we have introduced a binary log group commit. So there are several people who have done different patches for this. And this is a patch we have done. And we are now evaluating this patch and seeing if it gives a good performance or not. And if there are any problems and so on. Yes?
Does the implementation match the design?
So roughly the process.
The work all is on data. So I have a specification that it's not the same
So what is the advantage of this? Well, it reduces the number of F6 per transaction. It improves scalability by reducing log time. So often when we want to do things in parallel on modern machines, the problem is all of these logs. So this reduces the log time. This is integrated within the DB group commit, so it works nice. There was a huge performance in 5.5 for the DB performance. And this will also make it work very nicely with the application. A significant throughput increase is what we expect from this. We haven't benchmarked this yet, so this is still really new. The idea is basically this. We are, when you execute transactions, you go through different phases. And before this patch, different stages needed to happen in sequential order. And after this patch, then these are now parallelized, so they can happen at the same time. So when the master writes the binary log, it can now write it in parallel and make it much quicker. There's another thing with this, and that is also that the slave can get information from the master in two different ways now. It can say that I only want the durable changes, or I want them as soon as they are committed into the binary log, even if they are not, even if that binary log is not efficient. So these are some of the highlights of this patch. We have kind of refactored the code so that there's well-defined commit stages. So these are the different stages. There is better scalability because the binary log is held for a short time with these logs. It's flexible and tunable, so you can say, you should say, well, you want it to be totally durable or you want it to be just in the complete phase. The DDLs are included in the groups commit as well. And we have scale out so you can configure slave to either read committed or durable transactions. So next one, next features that is available on Labs is the possibility to replicate to other systems. So we have the MySQL build on API, and there is also a presentation about this on Friday at 10 o'clock. So if you are more interested in this, you can come to that presentation and we will go through it more. And what is the idea? Well, we have a master with a lot of data, and we have now created an API so you can replicate into HBase or different systems. The slave is still replicated in the old way, but you can make your own replication solution to replicate with other systems. And it's also available on Labs. That's available on this API. Progress, then this was an old list of things that we said that we will do. And well, we have put most of this stuff into 5.6. And we've also made it work with golden gate replication, which is another kind of replication we use tomorrow. What we're moving on in the future are these things: the multi-threaded slave, performance schema, reality schema, files, group commit, so on. And well, these two are now on labs, so that's where we are. Some other developments. We have the MySQL Workbench utilities. So if you download the MySQL Workbench, there is a set of Python scripts. And this is command line scripts you can use. And you can use it to manage replication and do various things. So it's part of the MySQL Workbench. It's written in Python. It's easy to extend it. And well, this is where you download it. You can get the source. There's also a session about this. And this session is on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. So that's kind of concludes the talk. For joining this talk, you can get a free ebook. You can go to this URL, and if you mention MySQL Replication Update, you can get a book. And you should get MySQL High Availability book, which is what we recommend for if you use MySQL Replication and want it to be high availability. There is several other sessions about MySQL, and I listed them here. So today there's a session about InnoDB. There's a MySQL community both tonight at 9 o'clock. Johannes will talk about PHP and MySQL. We'll talk about Python utilities for managing MySQL, PHP on the hood, MySQL technology update, and this will be about the whole MySQL. So it's not only about replication, it will be about the whole MySQL, what has happened and where we are. And on Friday there is the MySQL Bingo API. And we are available at the Oracle booth, 701, any questions or things. We have a few minutes for questions. And maybe this presentation is a little bit too technical for some of the people who are quite new. So please come to the booth and we will go through it also. We can go through much more basic things about MySQL and how it works and replication, how you set it up, capabilities and so on. We're very happy to have people at the booth. First to you.
Okay, your slides are posted someplace?
Yes, I will post them on this URL, and I will also post them on OSCon. I haven't done it yet, but I will post it on this.
Just ask if the Bitmog API included the binary logs from master or
Both from pulling from master and from pulling from files. More questions? Yep.
I was just curious, actually, the Bitmog API, what is...
Wait, can you hold the discussion?
Sorry, with the Bitmog API, what was that in terms of time frame? Is that something that's going to labs in the next year, or is that in labs now?
So the Binlog API is on the launch pad and has been for some time. It's getting quite stable and finished. So I think you can use it now. It's not really part of the server, so you can use it now. But Mats, do you have more of a status update on the Binlog API? Is there any problems in using it now? Thank you very much.